All right. All right. All right. We got another Ninja cast coming your guys' way. As always, we're going live. Let me turn my blue light on. Got to have the blue light in the back. Kind of last second, had to reset StreamYard here. So hopefully we can get it rocking and rolling. As soon as you guys start seeing me, please put something in the comment. Dylan, okay, sweet. I see Dylan's here. We got an awesome individual here with us, Bryson Whitley. Really interesting story. I'm going to let him, bring in that story and stuff. I'm just going to mention a few different things though. But the coolest thing about his story is more users than I would like to admit. He was one of those ones that kind of came into REISift and then had actually ended up canceling his account, then came back again through one of our challenges. Kind of like, you got to go through this challenge. Came back, implemented, got some results. And that's about all I know. I don't know that much more beyond that. I just know that he's relentless and he continues to press forward in his business. And I'm excited to learn more about him as we go through this Ninja Cast. And you guys are also going to learn about him as well. And I'm sure he's going to get hit up like crazy, like everyone does after they go through the Ninja Cast. So please respect his space. Okay. What I would love from you guys, what's up, Suzanne? How's it going? What's up, Dion? How you doing, brother? Please go ahead and share this, whatever platform you're on right now. If you're on Facebook, share this out to other Facebook groups. I'm going to do the same as he's introducing himself. I'm going to get this thing over into some of my pages. And let's get to it, man. Let's bring him on. Dude, Bryson, man, appreciate you hopping on the Ninja Cast, bro.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a pleasure.
Awesome, dude.
Pleasure,
Sweet.
man.
No problem, dude. It's funny because like it's not really about me having you on or off. Like you're the one that did the results, right? Like you're the one that took
Right.
the action. So
Yeah.
so because of that, you naturally you got to be on.
Yeah.
Um, so
Absolutely.
uh, so what I would love to do, man, is go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Let people know where you're at. Let people know how long you've been doing the real estate game. Let people know kind of what you focus on in real estate. Let's hear the story of you in wholesaling or whatever you do
Okay.
primarily.
Yeah. So, and I'll make the story quick. So, I'm originally from the Dallas, Texas area. I went to community college for 2 years. Moved from there to I went to Texas State University. I got a degree in political science. Graduated. I didn't do anything in that field. I understood that my end goal is to create a lot of wealth to help other people achieve that and reach their max potential. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I got into like network marketing. I helped a friend sell some clothes. I just knew I wanted to go the entrepreneur route. I didn't want to work for anybody. Okay, so I was still at Texas State while I graduated. Got into those, and I came across a real estate event that was in Austin, Texas. 3-day event. It was uh, my mind just went blank. I forgot what the event was. Fortune Builders. Went there, understood. I was like, okay, wholesale is really simple. You take a contract and you flip it. So that was my introduction to that. So we went and started LLC, but for the first year, we were in Texas State, so we didn't know which market. We didn't really do anything. I'll put it that way. So really, we've been in it for about 2 years strong. I'm in San Antonio now. Um, I had a mentor who was a real estate attorney and went under him and learned a ton and partnered up a lot of deals. And we cleared 6-figure that year. And then this year we're looking at hopefully doing, double that. So I basically came across, now this is my favorite part because we were just buying a bunch of data. Okay, so we at first went after like specific lead types like foreclosures. We were getting really good deals, but we all understood there has not been a foreclosure since last February. So we had to change our strategy, and we at that time we were still buying a bunch of data. But what was happening was that we were buying a bunch of data. We was RVing them, SMSing them, cold calling, and then once we were done, we were going buying more data, right? So, and we were just kept doing that, and we were getting deals out of them, but we were also spending more money. So there was actually a time when I was like, man, how can we actually go through this data and actually, like really filter out and keep marking the same ones? and it was crazy. Like when I asked that question, we came across REISift. So I think it was Quentin Flores that I saw the video, and that's how we got introduced to REISift. So signed up, ran all the data through there. And so I'll be honest with you guys. So read it through. I was like, okay, so this is really interesting. Like this is something that's going to transform business. But at the time was extremely busy, and obviously getting started, it was a little confusing for me just because I'm not the most tech savvy person. So when I introduced to my partner, so we got started, but as time kind of went through, we kind of just shied away from it. And like, what, man, we haven't got anything really from it just because it was more of us that didn't really like dive as deep. So we backed out, but then I had that like inner voice. Sometimes you have that inner voice that's saying, like, don't do that, or dive a little deeper, maybe go a little further. Just don't quit, right? Sometimes I think people give up too early on something, and I had the inner voice, right? So I reached out to Christina and I said, hey, look, I really want to understand this. Is there a way for me to like really learn this? What do I need to do? Because we already had canceled our thing. And she was like, well, we're having a October lead challenge. And I said, okay. I was like, oh man, October, we have a lot of stuff going on. I was like, you know what, let's just do it. We went through that challenge, and that was it. That was the game changer right there. Because yes, we understood what REISift was, but we didn't actually really understand until we went through the auto lead gen challenge. And once we went through, Tyler mentioned in video, he says a lot of people go in, they buy this data, but they don't ring it out. And that was the problem. So we were spending more money than we needed to, right? So we were like, yeah, this is going to be the best thing we've ever come across. So, we've already gotten, I want to say maybe 5-6 deals. In fact, we actually just got a deal yesterday from REISift. This is attempt number 2, 5 acres. Okay, so we could probably make, I don't know, 20 on that.
Nice.
2 days ago, there was 7.7 acres of land. Okay, so got that through REISift. That was attempt 3 on a RVM. So
Okay. Let's do this because I think people are like, what does attempt mean and what does all this stuff? You're like, you got the lingo down now.
Yeah.
All right. So let's step it back. So October, so when did you originally sign up for REISift in the very beginning? Do you know when you
That was, I
signed
want
up?
to say maybe early September.
So like early September, didn't use it, canceled your account, came back, was like, yo, if people are having success with this, I want to learn it. Found out
Exactly.
about the auto lead gen challenge, went through the auto lead gen challenge. Now explain to me kind of like, how did you end up structuring your business? Because ultimately what we really want to do in the Ninja Cast is we want to understand what was the difference between your business before and then what was the difference after. Like, what are the actual things that you implemented? So like, what kind of data do you have in your company right now? What do you pull?
Yep.
Where do you pull it from?
Yep.
And then what happens to that data after you bring it into your company?
Good question. So right now, or will we basically, so we have an admin, we have a cold caller, we have a private investigator who basically does deep dive search on properties that nobody can find numbers on. So before that, we were just buying a bunch of data from various sources, list source, PropStream, and then we'll get data from the county, which is usually the best data. So we were getting all that data, and then we were just sending out RVM campaigns. Well, after October's challenge, what we did is we actually sat down and we said, okay, this data we pull every single month, or this data we pull every single week. Thank you for that title, by the way, because we didn't really have like a structured way of doing it. So after that, we took the data and we said, okay, let's buy high equity and let's run all that through. And really quick, I think another key thing was that another area where we waste a lot of data was we were skip tracing a lot of the same information. We didn't have any way of knowing. So let's say that we bought a list of, I don't know, 10,000 records. Okay. Well, maybe a month ago, we ran that through and cleared out maybe 4,000 records that we already had in our system. Well, if you do the math, 4,000 records, if you times that by, I don't know, I think we get charged 0.15 cents or 15 cents each record to get skip trace. Well, if you do the math on that, that adds up, right? You're like, okay, well, maybe it's a couple $100. Well, if you keep buying data and you keep doing that, you can only imagine how much that adds up. So I had my admin, we all took a look at it, and we probably saved just on that about $400, right? So
Yeah.
And then we have more data that same thing. We already had information in there. So we ran that through and we said, okay, where is the data that we have in our system that's on multiple lists? Maybe there's no phone numbers. So we started taking those data and we started running campaigns on those specific data because those were really the best ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you took all the lists that you had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, okay, instead of just downloading them and then just skip tracing them and then RVMing them and then just kind of spitfiring it, you took each
Yep.
of
That's
those
what.
lists, you named them specifically, you organized it so that you can have a clear view of kind of what the landscape looked like in your data. And then
Absolutely.
you said, okay, let me look at what is skip traced. You found some that were skip traced and you found some that ended up being skip traced but didn't get any results.
Yep.
And you basically did what we call data segmentation, and you segmented out those into different buckets so that you
Mm-hmm.
could decide where you want to put your marketing dollars.
Absolutely.
That's what it sounds like. So you went from kind of like a little bit of chaos and just kind of throwing it out there to more structure so you can kind of keep a hold of it. So
Yeah.
what was the original type of data that you started focusing on? Because what happens a lot of times is people have like a lot of data, and then they might have, let's say, 100,000 records. And
Mm-hmm.
after like the auto lead gen challenge, they end up focusing on only like maybe like 5 to 10,000. So like,
Yeah.
what was your case? Did you end up focusing on a majority? Did you focus on vacants? Did you focus on stacks? Did you focus on an ouchie?
Yeah.
What did you guys focus on?
Yeah, good question. So we started focusing more on it was tax delinquents, it was probates, tired landlords, and uh, basically stacking the data on those.
Okay. So you kind of did like a niche stack on specific types of data.
Yep.
Okay. So then now, what kind of market did you still do RVMs, or did you switch up your marketing strategy at all, and what kind of outbound approach you did?
Yeah, no, so we still did the same marketing. It was just that it was more targeted and we
Gotcha.
narrowed down. Yeah. Yeah. So it
Okay.
was more niched and at
So
first it
you
was just like a shotgun approach.
so are you still only using RVM as your primary tactic right now?
No, RVM, cold call, and SMS. And we do
Okay.
bandit sign stuff like that too, but for
Okay.
our
So
us.
are you doing any sequential marketing? Like do you have a system where you're flowing through? Are you hitting all those at once, or do you do RVMs first and then cold calling, or how do you handling that?
Good question. So typically we SMS first, and then after we SMS a few times, maybe 3 times, then we'll move that to the RVM. Before we weren't taking the landlines and running those through the cold calls. Now we do that. Okay,
Okay.
so because RESF helped us. First, we just uploaded all the data and we were just RVM, but SMS and all that, it only goes to mobile, right? So we were missing the ones with the landline. So we extract that and ran those to the cold call. But yeah, we SMS, RVM, and then we ring that out and send it to the cold call.
Okay, got you. So you have a process behind that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then, after the Auto Legion challenge, and you kicked up your guys' first campaign, in our notes here, I see say things really click. Sign back for RSF. Lock down 2 deals in 2 weeks by remarketing to existing data. So can you
Yeah.
run me through, or can you run me through like what was the existing data? Was it the data basically you already, but you didn't buy anything more? What did you had you already been through that data once or twice and then you like just refiltered and focused more on it, or like how did you end up pulling out? Because this is a big thing a lot of people have. Like some people think that when they start with REISift in general, they have to get all new data because they've already marketed to their old data. But that's not the case, because
Right.
the properties are their properties. The properties don't just disappear, right?
Right.
So explain that for people on how important it is to make sure that you just, if you had data from 2 years ago, it's still valid. Because you could
Man,
upload it to REISift and some of that shit could be vacant right now. So
man.
can you run through that and give some advice for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had I remember this too. So we had a list, but it was tax delinquents. It was dated back in April. Okay, so we had that. We hit it one time. We hit it one time in April. Okay, then in September when we got REI SIF, we uploaded that data. Well, after the lead challenge, I went back to my partner. I said, "Hey, we're not going to buy data for maybe a month because we need to focus on going back to the existing data that we have." So we went back to the tax delinquents that we already had in our system. So that was basically just sitting. It was gold that was just sitting there. Well, we remarketed to them, and literally like in a week or two, we got a deal from data that we already had in our system from 6, 7 months ago.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah.
crazy, dude. So
It's crazy.
do you remember which marketing strategy kicked up the deal? Was it the RVM, the cold call, or the
RVM.
SMS? It was
Yeah.
RVM. Dude, that's
RVM.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
So when you're doing RVMs right now, I'm curious, just in general, because since I have you here, are you right now tracking any of the phone number responses? Are you doing the updating of phone numbers right now in REI SIF, and have you gotten it through that rabbit hole yet, or are you just using it to build campaigns right now?
It's still somewhat like a little. It's here
Cat
and
and
there,
mouse.
right? Yeah, we use Roar,
Mm.
so they don't tell you like they don't. The only thing they tell you is like the phone number. It doesn't tell you like which property. But what we do is we'll say, okay, um, whatever leads go through our Podio system, we'll take that and say, okay, they say do not contact, because maybe they call back, or maybe it was the wrong number, or if it is a lead, we'll update REI SIF, and then the rest of them will basically go through and say, okay, there was no responses, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't run through our Podio system, so we didn't get a call or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we go and tag those as no responses,
Got you. So here
right?
soon, just because you're on here, and there might be a bunch of other users here that are using Roar. Um, some people want to do this, and some people don't. But by the end of this week, our integration with REI Rail will be finished. So with REI Rail, it does have the RVM stuff, which is really effective. A little bit more expensive than Roar, but when you talk about opportunity costs and what you might be missing and how much you might be spending, what you'll be able to do is when someone comes inbound, if it's the wrong phone number, you can
Mm-hmm.
tag it as wrong phone number and it'll automatically update REISIF. You can use Zapier for that right now if you had
Yeah.
REI Rail. Or if for our business plans, I don't know which one you're on, but on our business plans, you'll be able to use the connector directly, so you don't have to pay for Zapier. Um,
Mm.
so
Nice.
so
Hell
that might
yeah.
be something that you might think about because I mean, you guys get a lot of wrong phone numbers as when you RVM, and if you're not updating, especially since RVM is your top of funnel,
Yeah.
you can then say, okay, well, let me remove all those wrong phone numbers. That way, when I do my SMS now, I'm not re-spending it again. So it would
Right.
compensate for that, maybe that extra you'd be spending in RVMs. But just a thing out there for everybody. Definitely think about that. Okay, cool. So what was after you did that RVM, it kicked up. What did you do after that? Like you kicked up this first deal after coming through the auto lead gen challenge, not your first deal, but your first deal with REI SIF.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do like to repeat that process? Did you guys change anything? Did you say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna hit other data, or did you just go back through tax delinquencies again? What happened?
We went back through all of our. So I told my partner, I was like, look, this REI SIF is like everything is going to be everything to our business, because I was like, we don't need to buy any more data. I can't remember, it was maybe for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months in between there. So we literally, all the existing data that we had, we really just went back and remarketed to all of those before we buy any other list, right? So yeah, out of that we got 4 deals, right, and within the 2 months. Then we went and bought more data, and then I need to go back to KPIs, but maybe another deal or two deals out of
Okay.
that, right?
So
So
then right now, out of curiosity, I mean, are you still marketing to and niching down into that old data right now, or are you only relying on new data?
We do both.
Okay.
We'll do both. So, but really, it's like, because what we'll do is, for instance, right now we're running a stack campaign. It's a RVM right now. So, in which we actually got 2 deals from it. So it's stacked data right now. So we went by seniors, I believe it was in December. Okay, it was a new list, but we also had existing seniors. So we were like, okay, we already had attempt 1 on the seniors, so we took those, made it attempt 2 plus the new data, and then obviously we did a stack campaign. So we know there's seniors, probably I know like tax delinquents and some other ones mixed. So
Okay.
uh,
So
hopefully that.
so you're basically, yeah, you're still basically doing the thing where you're just grabbing a niche core amount of that and then just marketing back to it. You're just combining the old stuff with the new stuff. After you market through the old stuff a certain amount of times, you then move it to SMS or move it to cold calling to hit through them that way. Is
Yep.
that right? It's kind of your
Yep.
flow. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so then I'm trying to think then, what would you say, well, first of all, how much projected revenue, if some of those haven't closed, out of those, what, that's five deals, potentially seven, how much
Mhm.
projected revenue then is that?
I want to say about 80,000
About 80. Damn. Okay,
roughly.
cool.
Right.
And
So, well, here, I'll tell you this though, on the 7.7 acres, man, because we did, so we're getting that as an option, zero down for 6 to 12 months.
okay.
Um, I'll be honest with you. I mean, that one is kind of hard to say because I mean, we could probably clear 6 figures just on that one, but I don't
Right.
want to say that, and because I just don't
And
know
not happen.
where,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be basically to a national buyer on that
Yeah.
one. So, um,
So
2 deals.
then,
Mhm.
sorry. So then, so then, roughly, let's just even say it's, let's even say it's only 50. You know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
or 80. What is your team? You said your team right now is, you have a marketer, you have your partner,
Mhm.
you have a cold caller.
Yeah, so it's me, my partner. We have a cold caller, an admin, and then we have a private investigator. So
Okay.
still do deep. The private investigator, very key because, and thank you for this as well. You get data and you run it through a skip trace service, okay, but then you get those ones that don't have any numbers, right? So a lot of times we just had that; it was kind of just sitting there. Well, now because RSIF, we take that out and then we go send it to another skip trace service, and if it doesn't come back with numbers, well, guess what? A lot of investors probably give up right there. And so what we do is we have a private investigator. We'll send her and say, hey, we need to do a deep search, a deep dive. Obviously, we'll go through, make sure it's worth it. We'll take the really good ones, do a deep dive. And I mean, she's like, yeah, she's awesome. She finds all the information we need. And those tend to be the best ones. So
Okay. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to show people what you're talking about. I think it'd really help out for people. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick,
awesome.
and see what happens. All right. Is my screen showing up? Because I can't see the.
Absolutely. Showing up.
All right, cool. So what he's talking about, y'all, is what he's doing is he's going. This is my personal account, y'all. You can see I got about 372,000 records in here, but I don't really care about those 372. In fact, on my dashboard, you can see that I only have 22% of that that's actually skip traced.
Yeah.
But notice here it says total skip without phone numbers. There's 2,542, and that doesn't mean it's our skip trace in REISift. It could be skip trace from anywhere. We'll still track it. But what he's saying is that what he's doing is he's taking data, and let's say he's doing tax delinquent, because he said it earlier, some tax delinquent. He also said some high, like some like high equity. So I'll do like tax delinquent, free and clear. And then
Mhm.
he's saying he's looking for this stuff that has no phone numbers, but it has been skip traced. So skip trace,
Yeah.
yes. Numbers, no. And I can apply that and see, I have 27 records here that are on multiple lists, some of these here, and they were skip tracing a location, but I don't have any phone numbers back from them. So what he's doing is he's selecting all of these, and he might have skip traced this in another location. He might have skip traced this in REISIF first, no matter which one, he's going to either export it and skip trace in a second location, or skip trace it in REISift as its second location, which is what I'm going to actually do now for the sake of this video, since I just seen these ones. I'm going to do skip trace, agree, and I'm just going to add my tag on this, REISift skip, and then LS for list skipped, Jan 2021. Everyone that's in REISift knows why I did those two tags. Is based off the 4 W's, the data management, skip trace records. And then that'll go to my page here. But notice also, and this is something if you haven't really noticed, you probably have, but notice how this one was skip traced 93 days ago. This one was 5 days ago already. This was 93 days ago, 93 days ago, 93 days ago. So a lot of this data was skip traced more than 3 months ago. So it's a really high chance, no matter whether it was wherever it was skip trace, actually is going to get results now, because most skip trace providers update their data quarterly. That's not including there could be incomplete data here, like this one. Yep. Right. So that's what he's doing. And then after he does that, right, he's going to, and we'll check here, 27 still. So I'm either going to get results here or I'm not. Let's check activity, skip trace. So it's processing right now. Looks like there's a duplicate owner in there for those records. But nevertheless, that's what he's doing, y'all. He's checking that, and then he's only marketing to those individuals. He's using his deep prospector to find phone numbers, but be it through True People Search or whatever, to find those individuals who can't be found. And there's definitely gold in that. So
yep, absolutely. Yes, sir. So and Tyler, there was something that you mentioned, because you're like, you can have all this data, right, but you want to really focus on the ones that are really good. Maybe because there was one side, SMS, RVM, cold call, right? But then maybe you get no responses and stuff. Maybe it have no numbers. So then it goes to the other side where you door knock or direct mail.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was brilliant because those are ones that are missed. And we've run into a situation where we know other people that locked up deals that we had in our system. And that pisses us off, right? Because it's like, well, shit, we missed it. Where did we, was it because maybe we kept marketing to them, but we didn't get any response, but we didn't go and door knock. So sometimes, it's like all it takes is for you to know and go and door knock to get a deal, right? Yeah. So if you want to touch on that, I thought that was, that's insight right there.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, I always say in marketing, I'm like, it's not about who you are reaching, it's about who you're not. Because it's the people who you're not reaching, what ends up happening is exactly what you say. You end up on a buyer's list, and then a property ends up coming through your email, and you're like, shit, what happened, man? Yeah. Why did he get the deal and I didn't? And what's a blessing about that, though, if you're tracking what you're doing in your marketing, is you can always take that address, type it in your REISift account, see what campaigns it's been on, see if the phone numbers are tagged or not, to see if you've actually spoken to that person. We've had a lot of users who end up finding out that what it is was a training issue. The objection handling, they didn't have the right objection handling. They go back and they listen to the phone call. They actually did speak to the seller, and the seller said, well, I'm not really interested in selling right now. There was motivation there if you really listen back to it, but the person on the phone didn't hear it. Right. And then it ends up being put under contract by somebody else. Or they notice that they're not reaching them at all. And then they look at their dialer and they see the dialer has been dialing and hitting it, but they haven't been picking up because maybe they need to be SMS'd. Right. So if we focus on making sure we're watching that, and we're always filtering our data at the end of every single campaign to figure out what's exhausted records and what's not, it gives us the capability to be able to pick up, even if you did that and got one more extra deal a year, it'd be worth it. Right. But in all reality, it's going to end up making way more than just one deal a year. You're going to be getting 1 to 2 extra deals a month, if not more. Right. In addition to that, you're going to be saving a shit ton of money. So it is pretty crazy, man. There's a right way to do this whole marketing game, and there's a wrong way. And the majority of what people see is the wrong way, 100%.
Yep. That's what we were doing. So just like you said about scaling too, is you want to try and scale without actually having to go and spend more money. And that's where REISift is like, it's like the hub of our business, because we were spending way more money than needed to in order to get deals. So it's like, well, you don't need to do that. It's like, look at the existing data that you have and then really utilize that and wring it out, get deals out of that. So I do want to say this, man. Anybody that's just signing up, because I saw this too. Anybody that's just signing up and then turn around and leaving, shame on you. Okay, because if you do not go through with this system, I'm telling you now, you're going to lose out to the people that is right, and that's just the way it is because this is going to help you literally like targeting or focusing on the key data that you need in order to get deals. So if you're doing that, man, shame on you.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I always tell people, it's like, REISift is a process. People think it's a data stacker. That's not what it is. It's a process, right? It's a
Process, yeah,
system that is made for you guys to get and intake data and rotate it through your marketing, update that data real time, understand who you're reaching, who you're not reaching. In fact, a lot of people use it as a micro CRM now because you can change statuses of records. They're
yeah,
building playbooks off of that. Like, hey, let me filter and assign these like 15 properties to a PI or a deep prospector, let them go through and find all that information. And then once they're done, that PI or prospector sends it back and assigns it to a caller. The caller calls through everything, tries to generate leads. And then as they're doing that and they're generating leads, they're assigning it to an acquisitions person to make an offer and updating the status as a lead. It like there's a system, right,
yeah,
to understanding it. So I definitely agree with you.
yeah.
How am I going to work on my health if I don't know about my blood work? The data is the blood of your company. 100%. I love that reference. I mean, that's 100% true,
Okay.
right? I
There
mean, you
you
don't
go.
know, you have these individuals and when you're speaking about health, right? They don't know that they have diabetes until like 4, 5, 6 years later, they finally get their blood checked and they're like, you have like diabetes. That explains a lot,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
100%.
yep,
You gotta have routine health and data is a big part of that.
absolutely.
Someone did ask, do you keep your PI on a retainer or how do you handle that? Is it just a VA?
Uh, no, no, no. This is actually a private investigator. So she's based out of Florida, I want to say. So she actually has her license. So she uses some of the top software like TLO. There's some other ones out there that a lot of people can't get access to unless you're either an attorney or a private investigator. So, um, we just keep her on a team. And then what we do is any of the really great leads, we'll have our admin send a list over, or if it's in Podio, we'll just create a task, say, hey, deep dive. And those leads, we will go out of extreme to do whatever we got to do. I mean, if we got to go and door knock, maybe it's in another city, we're gonna go do it because we've done our homework. We understand that nobody else touched this, and that's how some of our biggest. I mean, we cleared a $60,000 deal. Now this is last year. It was a $60,000 deal because the owner lived in California. Property was here in San Antonio. It was a tax delinquent. Well, we couldn't find the information at first, right? So we really had to like dive really, really deep, and we found the brother's information, right? And he only spoke to one person. I know a lot of people have been focused on this lead because it was a great one. But it was only us and one other person that was able to get in touch with them, and we were able to get that deal. And I mean, we cleared $60,000 on that one. So
That's dope.
yeah, those are
Yeah, man.
really good.
It's like you really never know how close you are to the money if without actually knowing.
Yeah,
I started to say this lately in some of my new slides when I'm explaining REIs. If it's like, um, if you don't have insight on your data in the future, you will pay to regain that insight, no
yeah,
doubt. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You will because what'll happen is down the road, you'll either be missing something that you end up realizing you need. Like you don't know if something was skip traced from one place or another because it's in your downloads folder in a Google Drive, not named properly, or whatever the scenario is. So what you end up doing, and we're all guilty of this, even like think of your downloads folder, your pictures folder. When your computer starts running out of space, you're like, shit. Like I don't know. I haven't been taking care of that folder for the longest time, so I'm just going to select everything, just nuke it.
yeah,
And that's what people do with their data and their business. Like, it doesn't make any sense because it's so expensive. That makes no sense on why you would do that because that is like you're saying, it's the lifeblood of your company. Between
yeah,
people and data, that's the two biggest thing. You don't need to have extreme sales experience if the person on the other side of the phone is the right person that wants to sell their property, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
The reason when you need to start having to have, it's like if I go to the car dealership and I know that I want something, I know that I'm going to buy it. The
Yeah.
dude just has to be friendly. He just has to be a genuine person. He doesn't have to sell me. He doesn't have to do any of that, right? Because I
Absolutely.
know who I am, and that's
Yeah.
really the biggest thing is just getting on the phone with the right people to make sure that even if you have mediocre salespeople, you can still close deals. Now, if you have a killer,
Exactly.
it helps even more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
really hard to find the killers.
Yeah.
We had this happen when we first got REISift, 400K records, and had to nuke the whole back end to get it right. What do you mean? Are you talking about, like you started with REISift and then you weren't doing things properly, so you end up having to nuke everything and start all over again? Is that what you're saying? And whoever this is, how many times? Oh, here's somebody. How many times do you contact owners before you move on to new lists? Um, you mean how many times do you attempt to contact owners before you move on to a new list? Realistically, you should the data doesn't expire, so you're just always going to market the same person. The strategy changes, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
know when it's time to have that pivotal move. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, how many times do you guys cycle through before you do something different?
Man, at least 3 times. At least 3 times. So it'll be anywhere from 3 to 5. So we'll SMS and no response. Maybe we'll do 3, 5 times. Push that over RVM, and then we'll push that to over to cold calling. So usually 3 to 5 times. Because
Okay.
because they don't, maybe it is the right number, you just don't know, and maybe they just didn't. Maybe they were busy, they didn't text back. So you got to keep hitting them up. It's just being consistent, hit them up maybe 3, 5 times, and then push it over to another strategy.
Okay. Yeah. So that's definitely what I recommend too. It's like now there's certain data in different what we call buckets at REISift that you should be focusing on maybe in multiple strategies right away.
Mhm.
Like let's just say for example, it's a stacked bucket, it's out of state owners and the property's vacant, right? For me personally, I send them direct mail. We don't RVM, but we send SMS and we'll cold call them all at the same time.
Mm.
And we're trying to
Nice.
figure out who are we not reaching as quickly as possible from those maybe 50 prospects. That way we can export that information and then start doing the deep prospecting on them. So in general, you kind of have these higher level, maybe these 10,000 or 15,000 people up here that you're trying to reach. And then as you do these different cycles, some of that data should be falling down and being caught in a bucket to move
Yep.
over to do that deep prospecting with the PI that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And that is like the ultimate way. And you could do this at scale. We always say more with less than more, more, more. If you get the solid foundation proper and you understand that concept, you can scale as big of a company as you want. You want to have 50 employees and do that, right?
Mm.
But you can make just as much revenue with only 4 people, right? A solid team that's focusing on the right individuals, doing the right processes, and be killing it while everyone else is stressed about overhead. You're sitting here with maybe less than $1,000 a month budget
Yeah.
and still closing multiple six figures a year, if not more. And your net profit is like 60 to 80% compared to only like, 18 to 37.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yep.
with that being said, what is kind of like, do you remember what kind of monthly budget you had be previous when you were just hitting a bunch of RVMs and kind of what you're doing now to give people an idea of, you said you'd done about 80,000 or so. It could potentially be have a six-figure deal on your hand, but maybe it ends up even being only even 25,000
Right.
would be great, right?
Yeah.
But what kind of monthly budget do you have right now? And when it comes to, now this doesn't include you and your partner's salary, but for the
Right.
team members you have and for your skip tracing every month, data, what are you spending a month right now?
Yeah. So for our two VAs, roughly for a month, about $1,200. And then on marketing, you typically maybe anywhere from like 3 to 5, right? So obviously RVM and SMS is really inexpensive. And then we buy bandit signs. Bandit signs work really well, at least here. So San Antonio. So I'll say typically about 3 to 5,000 on just the marketing.
3 to 5,000 on marketing. So
Yeah.
then, and about how many people are you marketing to a month? Do you know that off the top of your head right now?
Uh, Man, so right now we're marketing to maybe about 20,000 records.
About 20,000 records. Okay,
20,000
so
records per now.
and that would be through RVM, cold call, SMS. That's paying. Is that paying your caller and buying bandit signs as well?
Yeah. So so for our cold caller and our admin, we pay $1,200, right? So our cold caller is involved in that, and then the marketing itself, which I want to say it's probably more closer to $5,000. That includes like if we buy new data, getting the skip traced, and then plus the RVM and SMS because those platforms
Yeah.
cost. Yeah.
Okay.
Bandit signs.
Man, everyone in San Antonio that's a ninja is killing it. I'm next. You got it, Dylan. I believe in you, bro. Don't step on Bryson, man. You step on your face. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I want to read this out loud. Why do people think getting bigger means adding more? I thought you build your foundation to get big, then scale by adding more on top of what's measurable. I heard in a mastermind this weekend that you can hit 1 million with only one caller, Facebook user. You totally could. Or you heard that you can't. Yeah, apparently you can't. That's totally a lie. What if you're doing direct mail? I mean, what if you're only focusing on the right data and you're targeting multifamilies, right? The metric of scale, the metric of revenue is the direct correlation to proper insight and talking to the right people. That's the
Yeah.
same with any business, right? This is why Facebook ads, we always want to make them cheaper as we continue to market to them. Like no one does Facebook and it's like, cool, my Facebook is becoming more expensive every single month, and I'm getting the same amount of people, and I'm not going to do anything about it, right? They stopped the campaign. Facebook, I figure it was you, Garrett. So yeah, so it's interesting, right? So okay, so you're spending about 5,000 a month in marketing, and then on top of that, you have a $1,200 for your VAs. So
Yeah.
you're getting close to that 8,000 mark in your company expenditures. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I do think that there's some refinement we could focus on there for sure. Try to get that below 5K altogether.
Yeah. Hell
Um,
yeah. In
yeah.
fact, quick question. Because we're going to do the go challenge, but I got COVID, so couldn't make it on January.
Yeah.
When's
Glad you're
go?
better.
Yeah, I'm much better, man. That was it was like I went through football. It was crazy. I was just really exhausted. It was crazy. But when's the next go challenge? Because that's probably the next one you recommend. I would assume.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The go no go challenge would be killer, especially you're already doing the processes you're doing. You can join at any time. You don't have to have it's not live anymore. It just actually live, but everything's in there now. And I'll put the link in the chat for everybody who's interested in the go no go challenge. It's basically the process around cycling through the data, targeting the most niche people, all that kind of stuff. So links in the chat for that. But man, my nose is itchy. But yeah, so definitely I think what would automatically help you guys out a lot is just doing the tracking of the phone number thing, because that's going to reduce automatically. Because here's something to think about for everybody, right? If you have 10 phone numbers for a prospect, right? How many of those phone numbers are the correct number? Right? Maybe one or three, between 1 and 3,
Yeah.
because one of them could be related to a sibling or something like that, and knows a person, but it's between 1 and 3. So if you
Yep.
have 10 phone numbers, that's between 7 and 9 that are the wrong phone number, right? So if
Yep.
you're doing outbound prospecting, that means, especially if it's cost per send prospecting like RVM and SMS, every single time you move a campaign from RVM to SMS and it's the same data, you're spending 7x the marketing cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that and
So
that I think that's where we kind of we really definitely need to refine that particular uh process, right? Because I mean, just like you said, that's it. You really just want
that
to narrow down to get to the correct number.
but it's like it's a process, right? It's like what you said earlier. Once you come in, you get success. you
Yeah.
improve, you iterate, and you continue to refine. A lot of people try to go from here to here, in like 2 seconds, right? Right?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna start REISift, and immediately I'm gonna be this like ninja ass marketer." Which if you go through the auto lead gen challenge and you implement, you do everything right, and you it all clicks. And then you do the go no go challenge, you implement, you get it right, and it all clicks. Yeah, we have people that have ended up having immediate quick success, like doing everything right.
Right.
You implementing the auto lead gen challenge automatically ended up saving, let's just say, you got you 75% of the way, right?
Mhm.
Because you implemented that. You're getting results. You're being consistent with it, which is more important. It's more important to be consistent with being at 75%
Yeah.
than to be bouncing between 10 and 25% success rate, and spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you're definitely in a really good spot. And I think that, like, it's a really good attest to, how you can just take action, right?
Yeah.
And people need to know, like, it's not about having everything 100%. Like, you're always going to do better. And that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing about, like, REISIF in general, is that it once you are at the top, it's like you peel open the onion and you can really go pretty fucking deep. Like,
Yeah.
and if you try to do that from the beginning, man, it'd be crazy. Like looking at the Death Star schematics, right?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be like, you can't do that. You gotta maybe focus on the first layer, right?
Yeah.
First.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so I love it, dude. Jamarcus was like mind blown. Boom.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think one key thing too you touched on is that you got to take action. I know, and I think social media kind of has it to where it's like over this whole overnight success. You see celebrities, and I think so that's kind of hurting a lot of people in the sense of instant gratification. I definitely felt guilty to that, but you actually got to put in the work, and then and have some patience, be patiently aggressive. It's just taking action. And I think that's where, people want to maybe try 1, 2 times and just kind of give up. But it's like being really consistent. That is the key. Consistency is the key, right? And anything it is you do, it's just being really consistent. So, and I
yeah.
think, yeah, yeah. So,
Consistency. What list should be pulled weekly? Speaking of consistency.
yeah. Is that for me or?
Most of them are direct towards you. If you
Okay.
don't pull one weekly, I can
Yeah,
try
we
to.
pull weekly. So we pull, so anything weekly is, well, obviously right now foreclosures in it, but pre-foreclosures, tax foreclosures, because we got a system. What is it? But I think it's only in Texas. It's REIQ, which basically it's really from the county, but the county's the ones you really want to pull weekly, right? So probates, tax delinquents, foreclosures, divorce, evictions. Those, if you get weekly, I mean, yeah, those, because those are real distress leads. So we want to go after
Yeah.
those as quickly as possible. And especially with foreclosure, everybody that everybody's taught to go after those. So I think it's like the faster you pull them, if the better your systems, the faster you can get to them. That's what those are really our best lead source. Obviously, again, we haven't had foreclosure since last February, but it's just because we understood how to get to those fast, have a private investigator quickly skip trace those and everything. But those are the ones that do weekly, high equity, and those type of lists. Maybe I want to say maybe like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so we pull, like, depending on how you do your business, we don't really hit high equity very often. So we pull our whole county, and then we just do it once a year for our probates. If we pull those weekly, we pull our evictions weekly. Pretty much, it's based on the cadence of your market, right? It's what it
yeah,
really boils down to, right? How quickly do they update? Like tax delinquents for me, they only drop annually. So I only can pull them annually, right? But tax auctions happen monthly or every other month,
yeah,
right? So it's going to be based off the cadence. It's just what's the most important is making sure you're doing the cadence. But what you definitely don't need to do is go out and continue to add 10,000, 20,000 new records into your data every single month, just downloading all of your high equity from PropStream, because even if you were to upload 10,000, and then focus on the vacancies in those 10,000, there's a shit ton of money in there. And we're running close to our time here, so I want to run through some of these questions here. If I'm stuck in a contract with a skip tracing company, do you recommend using REISift still? Yeah, because you don't need to use our skip tracing. If you're using their skip tracing and it's good, you might be effed and it might not be good. You might have to just wait, but I don't think it's really so much about good or bad in any skip tracing. I think it's more about tracking the results, because I believe in using multiple sources of skip tracing. So yeah, definitely you got to get your data uploaded to REISift first, because there's clean data and there's incomplete data. You only want to skip trace clean data. You have a provider that does that. Okay, you have IDI, so that's fine. Skip trace it at IDI. Bring that data back, upload it to REISift, and then make sure you say that it's skip traced. And then in REISift, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to filter by skip traced yes, numbers no, and you're going to find all the records that aren't there. Although REISift skip tracing, I've been having good results. Awesome. It's like, we're not going to be, have 100% contact rate, and no, neither is anybody else, right? But for the convenience of being able to skip trace it pretty quickly in one place, one of the other benefits to our skip tracing is that if one owner owns 15 properties, we only skip trace it once. And it doesn't matter if you've even tried to skip trace the other 14 properties or not, because we pair the owner with the properties. And then you can find cool things like this. I'll just show you guys really quick, because we have users doing this right now, getting massive results. So I'm going to share with you guys. If you have some data, right, and you filter down, let's say we focus on records on 2 or more lists, and it's a vacant property. So we're just going to go down to like a kind of a niche list. I'm just going to click on the name. You see this one's opted out, it says. I'm going to click on the name, and I'm going to look at the owner, and notice how this owner actually owns more than one property, right? So if I were to skip trace this owner, it would only cost me one skip trace result, rather than, in fact, I already know that this person actually has 154 properties in my account, just because I know the name. However, if I skip trace it, it only skip trace it once, not 154 times. In addition to that, what's really cool is because we marry phone numbers to the owner and not every individual property, if I click on any of these properties, notice how this is still tagged as a wrong phone number. So if I click on any of these properties, that will still be a wrong phone number. So you're able to call through, update this person, and as you call through and you build your new campaigns, you're actually reducing your marketing spend by 154 properties every single time you contact somebody. It's becoming more refined for all of those attempts, which is huge, right? Because it's all about trying to save money over time and doing the right things multiple times. Yeah, here's this person. Actually, this person owns 3 properties. They're an out-of-state owner. Actually, I'm going to tag this owner because that's actually a really good area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Oh, it's already assigned to Karen May for deep prospecting. Look at that. Perfect. So that's just an example of ways that you can kind of make sure that you're making things better. And of course, I had that up, so you guys might not have been able to see all that, but all right, let's read more of these. This is a long-term business, hands down. Took us 14 months to close our first deal with no process. REISift has given us such a different outlook on our business and marketing. I appreciate that, brother. Tax delinquency is weekly. I thought it came out annually here in San Antonio.
No, tax foreclosures weekly are really shit daily. I mean, because sometimes they'll put it out like maybe daily. So tax delinquents, it's not annually though. In San Antonio, it's twice. So it's around April and then around October. I know that for a fact because my mentor is a real estate attorney and investor. I mean, yeah, we got a lot of insight on that. So it's biannually, San Antonio.
There you go. Hey, Bryson, where do you pull tax auction data in San Antonio, and when does tax auctions happen? I think you just basically answered that.
Yeah, every month tax auction happen. What's the website? Things like tax sales or LGS or something like that. But we do it through REIQ, just because like they get it really like every day and they send us the leads, right? So I forget, but type in tax sales in Texas, and then you should see a website that's tax sales or something.
Cool. What's going on, fam? I don't know. What's going on with you, Facebook user? I found one guy in my REISift that owns over 50 properties. Skipped one of them and all 50 got numbers. I love it. 100%, bro. You just
Yeah,
saved 49x.
yeah,
All about the micro, bro. Turns into
yeah.
a macro. Tax auction is first Tuesday of every month. There you go.
Same day as foreclosure. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So, man, this has been awesome. What I would love to do, the deals currently came from deep prospecting mostly or bucket list. It's a combination of both, right? You want to look at that. What's up, Charles? What's up, my guy?
oh,
LGBS.com. The
yeah, there you
goat's watching. Goat.
go.
Awesome. I wonder why you can't see my name on here. It's because you got to click on the StreamYard thing so it maps. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so what I'd love to do now is I'd love to hear your plan moving into 2021, right? I want to hear based off what you've learned from even us just communicating right now, and kind of thinking about what's happening in 2021. What is your 2021 Q1 objective? I want to hear the plan. What are you going to fix maybe in your company based off our conversations? What are you going to refine? And then what are your target metrics you're going to be aiming for? What kind of revenue are you trying to reach?
Yeah, so good question. Man, I actually got it written down. Right in here, right? So for Q1, man, it's go and go challenge, right? Like our main focus is mastering REISift, and I'm telling my partner, I'm like, that's at the top because I mean we understand how valuable this is, so that's our main focus. As far as the revenue for the annual, we want to do 350. So this quarter, we need to pull in about at least 80K on our 80K for the revenue.
Okay.
Right. So
80K for the quarter. Love it.
Yeah. Yep.
So then, so what do you think? What is your average deal size right now? It sounds like it's relatively large for San Antonio.
I mean, average deal size depends on what lead, but since we don't have our hottest one, like I said, it was foreclosure. With foreclosure, man, it was about 15, 20.
Okay.
But we don't have those, right? So I want to say right now it's been about 8K on average deal size.
Okay.
But
so you're
this past few months,
talking,
it's been more. So
talking basically looking to close 10 deals right now in the quarter, which is fantastic. And then what is right now about how after you put something on our contract, about how many contracts is it taking to get a closing for you guys right now?
man, so we're about, what was it, 65? What was the last time I looked at it? It was a quarter four. 65 to 70% that were closed out of those. So yeah. So if we get, if we get 10 deals, typically we'll close about 6 to 7 of those.
Okay. So we're gonna need about 15 to 18 contracts to execute on that. So let's say it's 18, divide that by 2. So we just got to get nine contracts coming up. And I love it. So you're gonna take the go no go challenge. Let's see, Jake Hayes, what's up from Orlando? Tons of value. Thank you, Bryson. 100% Jake. Thank you. Okay, cool. So then let's think. So go no go. So what has been your number one producer so far as your data is concerned?
No more producers as in like which marketing or which lead source or
which generating the best leads. What kind of data? Seems like you're really big into taxes or something. Like
man, those I'll say those and seniors.
Okay.
We want to say this with seniors, man. Right now we're seeing, and matter of fact, even with the seniors, man, we've been targeting two-story properties that have seniors because, and this is even my mom. She's in a two-story house. She's like, the house is too big. She doesn't ever go upstairs. And we were like, you know what, this is a niche. So we've gotten deals from that because we know a lot of older people aren't climbing those stairs. They want to downsize. So I'll definitely say seniors list, tax delinquents, and absentee will probably be about a third, and I'll say so.
Okay. Yeah. So then in the go, no go, boom, you already know who you got to be go, no going, right? Focusing on building that process around. Love it. Mike
Yeah.
said, when you say X amount of contracts to close one deal, why aren't you closing and converting a one-on-one? It's just natural that shit comes up. You know what I mean? It could be that you put it on a contract too high. They could be they lied to you and it's got more damage than it is, and they're not going to go down on price. It could be that there's something on title work that the seller lied about. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different things that cause that. On
Yeah.
typically, leaner operations generally close between 70 to 80% of contracts. And then as like people that scale a bunch and hit a lot of high equity, generally around a 50% close ratio, if not lower.
Yeah, you're right on that. I went to some big groups, some big wholesalers. I mean, they do a lot of marketing, but a lot of them was like 50%. So I was like, man, what's the and then we came across your. I'm like, yeah, they're not refining the data and everything. So yeah, they've been 50%. So
Yeah.
it's better. I mean, I don't know. And Tom, maybe you have some insight on this because the way you think. I don't know if you have. Do you have an engineer background or something?
Yeah.
Do you have a background?
A cyber background. Yeah.
All right, I can tell. I have friends that are. I mean, it's just the way you think. So to me, it's better to do less but do more, right? So if you can close maybe 80% of your contracts, but maybe it's less deals, well, essentially, maybe it brings in the same amount. It's like, which one would you rather do, right? So would you rather try and go do a whole bunch more, but only close 50%, or would you do less but close more, right? So that's, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Tyler, you have some insight to that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a firm believer. Like, if you have a bunch of contracts that don't close, and you're fighting the game of like trying to figure out and battle closings all the time, your team starts getting really demoralized, right? You're taking food out of their a lot of the effort they're putting in. You're just basically stripping away from them because see, in the wholesaling space specifically, it's a value chain, right? Acquisition sets up success for disposition. Lead management sets up success for acquisitions. Marketing
Yeah.
sets up success for lead management. There's this chain, and if there's any kink in it, at the end of that chain, when the money hits the bank, it gets affected. So if you can make sure that you're hitting the right people, you're making the right offers, you're sending out to the right individuals, which is making a lead manager have easier time gather information because they're willing to listen, then they can get the right information to make the right offer. They're willing to accept the offer at a good price. And now dispositions can sell it, and they're not trying to just continue to eat profits because they have to make it. You assume you're going to be able to selling it for 8 and you end up only selling it for 5 because people don't want to pay for it because your acquisitions had to make the deal happen because they have to have volume. Because why do you have to have volume? Because your overhead is all the way up here. So you start putting everything under contract and just try and sell it, right? Rather than keeping your overhead low so that when you're making offers, it's not thinking about the money because of overhead. You're thinking about how can I serve this person the best solution? And naturally, when you do that, bigger deals start coming. It just
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you set yourself up for success in the very beginning, that comes down the pipeline. It's like going to the gym without changing your diet, right? It doesn't. It's not going to have that much of effect. You're going to have to work 100 times harder than
Yeah.
eating. You know what
Man,
I'm
I
saying?
see that all the time. So that's a great example right there. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
I love it, dude. Okay, let's summarize this up real quick, and I want your kind of your final thoughts. We know what you're doing leading into 2020 Q1. You're gonna be looking at the go no go process and implement that into your business. You're gonna be trying to hit make sure you get that 80K
Yeah.
this quarter. Which
Refund systems, like that's a big one, right? Because we want
yeah,
to this year we're gonna go get an acquisition agent, but we want to make sure that we set that acquisition agent up for success, right? So it's like really focusing on our systems, make sure that that's in place, so that when it's time to bring this person on, it's quality data, quality leads coming through, and yeah, I mean, yeah. So
love it.
yeah,
Awesome, cool. So I love it, man. From September, signing up to October, having a canceled account and going through the auto lead gen challenge, to now you being able to speak about the right way and you be able to spread that across to all these other individuals and be, someone who, when you walk into, a meetup or a mastermind and people are talking about feeding the dialer and all this other stuff, you're like, I don't think that's right. And then you're able to speak up and be like, yo, well, this is what I'm doing to not have to do that. It's super awesome when people end up having an aha moment. So I do really, really appreciate you taking action more than anything, man. And if you need anything, obviously, our community is all about helping out each other. So make sure you reach out, make sure you post out in San Antonio, get network with the dudes in San Antonio. But before we close this thing out, man, what do you have to share with people? How can people reach out to you? What is it that you think that your unique selling proposition is? Like, what are you good at? That you understand the best, that you think that you can provide value to other people if in fact they were to reach out. Again, I always like to say, y'all, that doesn't mean you go spamming Bryson and being like, yo, how did you get that deal? And listen, the answer is right in front of you. His process, how he got the deal, is auto lead gen challenge, implementation, execution, strategy, process. Don't think the money, think the process, because the process is always the answer. People, oh, what list are you doing? Every single list. It's the process of getting it. Okay.
It's the process, man. That's the key right there. So,
so what do you got for him?
Okay, so you said a unique selling proposition.
It might not even be real estate related. Maybe you're good. Maybe like you have a background in something that people need help with. Anything.
Gotcha. Here's the thing. I think the biggest thing is I think what really helps me and my partner is that we're so big on learning. We love learning because once we get out of college, I know a lot of people, man, they just stop. They never continue to learn. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is to continue to learn, right? So I hit rock bottom at one point, and I read a book. It was Think and Grow Rich. A lot of people read that. That was the turning point for me. And ever since then, never looked back. So you can look behind me. I love reading. I love learning. So just don't stop learning. Like, continue to learn, continue to grow. Even if it's 1% a day, just keep growing, and your life will definitely get better. So that, to me, is the biggest thing. I think a lot of people, maybe to go invest stuff, they don't have the fundamentals or foundation. So it's like having that grounded in, and like I said, just continue to learn. As far as in real estate, man, look, you just got to be consistent. I think, even like I said, for our first year, we didn't really take action. So many people, again, we were guilty of this, or maybe you're over learning, right? You got to get started at some point, right? So you got to say, okay, let me just take some action, learn, but then go take action, implement, get feedback from that, and take that feedback, refine it, and so learn, action, learn, action, learn, action. That's kind of where I guess that's what helped us. And so I know a lot of people that kind of get stuck in the learning phase and don't ever get started. So don't be that person. And
I love it.
Yeah. So
that's why, like in the auto lead gen challenge and the go no go challenge, like when you go through the initial learning content, the next thing is like 2 weeks of actually execution, and you got to hold yourself accountable because you got to submit your daily KPI worksheets, right? And the fact is, like, if you don't do that, that's it. Like, you're proving to yourself that you're not going to be successful long term because you're not doing the one micro thing, right? That's about building the habits, right? It's all about habit building. It's about learning, execution, and then tweaking and refinement, and then scale, right? On top of like low overhead, higher net profits, and having the right insight, man. So I appreciate that. And how can people, are you on IG, or how can people reach out to you, bro?
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can follow me, official Bryson Whitley. So you see on here, that's how you spell it. Facebook, it's just Bryson Whitley. Snapchat, I don't remember what it is on Snapchat.
People still use that?
Yeah, I still use it. I don't really use it for like any other, I just kind of use it just because I had it for like quite some time. But Instagram and Facebook is the main thing I'm on. So officially Bryson Whitley on Instagram, and then Bryson Whitley on Facebook.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out and asking questions and giving us something to talk about, y'all.
Yeah.
Bryson's story is just one of many. If you guys need anything at all, definitely check out the Auto Lead Gen Challenge. Check out REISift.io in general or .com. You'll find it either way. If you're on YouTube or wherever you're watching from, generally there's some sort of something in the description somewhere to point you in the right direction. So just look. If you can't find it, of course, you can always reach out to us on our website through the chat bubble in the bottom left corner or bottom right corner, one or the other. Dude, man, Bryson, I really appreciate it, man. I'm going to kick you down into the room again below,
Okay.
close this
I
out,
appreciate
and
you,
then
man. I appreciate you coming up with REISift and what you're doing in the community, man. Like straight up, that's I mean that's man, I appreciate it. We truly
100%, bro.
do.
I appreciate you being
Yeah,
part of it, man.
absolutely, man. Take care.
Thanks. All right. Y'all, thank you again. I appreciate it. Definitely check out the Auto Lead Gen Challenge. If you want to reach out to me directly about anything, Tyler Austin Original on IG. But please, give me a voice message. Don't type it out. I like voice messages. And if it's real REI SIF related, definitely please reach out to my team. We do have the free trial. We have everything you need to get rocking and rolling. But really, honestly, that Auto Lead Gen Challenge is your starting point. It truly is. Users start in it, and then they always end up going through it at some point. So you might as well knock it out right away to have that core focus and strategy that you need in your business, in your life. Most people say it's more impactful and equally impactful in their life as it is in their business because it can cross over into any business, period. So, again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Be safe. And until next time, if you're a user and you're looking to get on the NinjaCast message intercom chat and let them know why you deserve to be a ninja, right? And really, that means you took action, you got some contracts, and you understand the process. So, would love to have you on here. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Peace out.